Welcome to this random Liblast development video. So I'm working on mover entities or components. So what I previously done is implemented a mover entity, which basically was an animatable body 3D that had a trigger zone, which was an area. But the problem is that working with making a level is that it's without specialized tools and scripts that would replace import different things as different entity types based on some extra metadata you put into Blender, it's not really possible to do this. So what I've done is now made a component so that you select your whatever you want to make a movable thing. So this will be like lift platform. This is my lift. So I drag a generic entity script onto it. Generic. Doop. So just drag it here. Now this is a generic entity. And what this allows us to be is that it's getting registered in the game manager class, and all of its components get enlisted and get processed. So now I take mover component and I just drag it here, and now this lift is a mover. So this mover component has some info, like there's a sounds, there's a movement curve, there is the target offset. So this is how it's supposed to be moved, and it's supposed to be moved 3 units down. And now the components. So mover component descends from entity component. Entity component class descends from entity, really. So this entity component, and it descends from entity. And entity descends from node 3D. So entity component has something like an entity doesn't have that. So an entity component must have a host entity, which is supposed to be a node 3D. This is because to make it easier so that you can actually attach a mesh, like an entity component, to something that isn't an entity, it would be better if you attach the generic entity to it script, a generic entity script to it, so it is now an entity. But if you don't, so if I remove this script, detach script, now this is just a mesh entity. So if I start the game, you will see something, hopefully. So we should have a complaint from our oh, we actually don't. Okay, let's go. So this is our game, and for some reason both lifts go to the same place, and as you can see, they work, but they have no sound, and also for some reason they teleport to the same place. So we have 2 lifts in one. I don't know why. I haven't figured this out yet, but it kind of works. And now the important thing is this should work nicely through networking, but I've yet to test that. First, I'm going to get this working nicely in single player, and then I'm going to worry about multiplayer, because also, why is it not playing the moving sound, only the stop sound? I don't know. Yeah, so it plays the stop sound. It doesn't play the start sound, though. It doesn't play the motion sound. Anyway, so I've generalized, made the rotator component also work with host entities, made this crank object generic entity. Same with the flicker component. So all of these are now mesh entity components, and they should orthogonally work with everything. So by the way, if I do accessibility, client accessibility, and we can have flashing in there. So flashing. If I can disable all flashing, so flicker components just stop working. However, if you're not so sensitive to flashing, you can just reduce it. So flashing Minimum smoothness, for example, you can do 10. Okay, 10.0, I guess. And now you can see that this isn't blinking, you know, on and off. It's smoother. So that's like limiting the enforcing minimum smoothness. You can do really smooth. Like this is barely moving, but it's still moving. So, you know, I don't know how much is this going to be used, but I was thinking, you know, there are people who are more sensitive to flashing lights than others, and they could configure the game so that it doesn't cause discomfort to them, basically. So that's the default. Yeah. Anyway, that's a very random update. By the way, I'm working on the level. As you can see, it's improving in looks and performance. If I open performance monitor, oh, sorry, I need to delete all of that. Performance monitor, true. Nah. There we go. 444 hertz. Okay, but this isn't full screen, so let's try now. Okay, 120 FPS. And so yeah, this level seems pretty okay performance-wise. Now it's like lots of light leaking. I don't know. It seems pretty okay performance-wise. It seems like you can, you know, you could have a solid fluid game in here. Let's see if I can jump there. Well, okay. And I fell. Leave. Oops. Oh, third-person camera, by the way. Play Park. Haven't played Park in a moment. Let's see what happens there. By the way, this is a super random video. I don't know. Oh, okay. I broke some stuff because I was working in the other. Is it gonna compress? Carry on. Ooh, I broke stuff. I broke a lot of stuff. Let's see. Can I power through? No. Okay. So I broke the park level. I'll have to fix it. But okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon with a new update when the lifts are working and maybe multiplayer is also working better. Whatever. What is this?